Jupiter Broadcasting presents this program in stereo.
This episode of the Linux Action Show brought to you in part by GoDaddy.com. Use the promo code Linux and save yourself some cash. And of course, from donations of people that are, it's like people get donated, you know? And it's free. It's free. It's tax exempt.
No, it's not.
No, when you donate people, it is. It's
donate people.
Right.
But
You can't, Chris, you can't put a worth on person.
This week on the Linux Action Show, your living room sucks, and we're here to make it better. We hook you up with the best media center software for Linux and transform your living room into a media center mecha. Then find out why emacs hates freedom and why Microsoft just spent $100 million on Linux. Oh, this week on the Linux Action Show! And welcome to the Linux Action Show. This is Season 17, Episode 10, the season finale of Season 17. Therefore, it's the 10th episode. My name is Brian. That guy is Chris.
Hey there.
How the heck are you doing?
Hey there, B-Man. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, check this out.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
One of the most important derivatives market exchanges, the CME Group, runs Linux. This is a big deal.
What is the CME Group?
Well, they you know, like the commodities markets, like where people can trade in oil futures and things like that.
No, I deal in chickens and chickens alone for my currency.
That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Well, so these guys, they run a lot of that stuff, and that, as you can imagine, is super critical in terms of uptime and performance and how fast things execute. In fact, they executed on 13.5 million contracts in the second quarter of 2010.
That's a lot of contracts.
They have 5,000 servers running Red Hat Enterprise Linux in their data centers in Chicago and New York. They use 92 megawatts, but when you consider the fact that it's redundant, they actually use 184 total megawatts, enough to power 100,000 homes.
That's a significant fraction of a gigawatt.
Yeah. They are in the process of moving one of their most important core critical business applications over to Linux. Check this out. The CME Group began working with Linux in 2003, initially just to reduce costs. Then they adopted Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and then 7 years after that, now they're moving all of their systems, even their most critical systems. They're in the process of moving this thing they call the match engine. That's like the most important part of their entire setup, and they're 80% done, and then they're moving it over to Linux. I mean, that is I wanted to feature that one because if you are a dude in a place trying to convince your management...
That's a big dude. I mean, that's
a big thing to point to.
That's like, look, that works for that.
Yeah.
Now, see, again, I only use chickens, and my chicken tracking software all runs Linux.
Right.
But it's not as big of a deal. Like, you go. Let's say you work at IBM, and you're like, IBM changed everything to Linux, which IBM's kind of already doing at the time. But if you're like trying to convince them, and you go say, but Brian tracks all his chickens, which he doesn't have any right now, but like he tracks them all in Linux, right? It doesn't fly.
Is this like a spreadsheet?
It's not a huge. Well, yeah, it's just a spreadsheet.
Yeah. But that's a core.
I mean, I could run it on anything, but it's running on Linux because it happens.
Not in a doc either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not like a Google Doc.
No. Well, it's just an open office document.
Yeah,
I could run on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got a pretty cool Android pick. I wanted to say thanks to Alan for filling in for the B-Man for the last couple of weeks.
Good job, dude.
Alan over there at TechSnap, and now the B-Man's back from California. How was your trip?
It's good. I'm tired.
Yeah, you drove.
I drove.
You got sick too.
I'm retarded.
But you did okay. You bounced back.
Yeah. No, I got like 102-degree fever the day we were supposed to leave.
That so sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You got to go to Disneyland.
I got to go to Disneyland. That was pretty rad.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
So before we jump over to the Android pick that I seriously have been holding on for the show,
I want
to
talk about GoDaddy. It has been like 2
I know, you missed these
weeks
guys
since
or
I've
what?
talked about GoDaddy because the thing is, domain names, hosting. Go to GoDaddy, type in Linux.
Guess what?
No.
I got a personal note from GoDaddy.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Did not.
The word on the street is Danica loves the spots.
No, she doesn't.
I swear to God.
She watch them all?
Well, I don't know. I don't
She
know
watched
what
some
the
of them?
story is there. I don't know what the
She
story
loves
is there,
them.
B-Man. But you know what, Brian?
That's so awesome.
I got good news. I have recently started sort of repurchasing a bunch of servers and redistributing the way our files are hosted. I will tell you why later, because I'm making some big changes.
Big changes.
Some big changes.
Big changes.
And I needed a bunch of servers, unlimited bandwidth. Unlimited bandwidth.
So great, isn't
so
it?
if you're hosting files,
It's so great.
That's so awesome.
It's so great. So I run my personal blog, glenduke.com, off of one of these guys, off of the Linux shared hosting.
Yeah.
It cost me literally, I'm spending like $50 a freaking year.
Hey,
Right?
good
It's
news.
a little more than that. It's like a little bit more than $50 a year for the shared hosting, and it's so good.
Look at that, dude. Churchoflast.com is available. And if I grab that, use the code Linux, I'd save 10%.
10%.
Boom.
So if someone wanted to start the Church of the Linux Action Show, it'd
Yeah.
be super cheap to do it, is
There
all
you
I'm
go.
saying.
That's all you have
and
to
I'm
say.
guessing that Danica Patrick would probably really approve.
I believe she personally signs off on every domain name purchase that used the code Linux. at checkout.
Correct. She absolutely does.
That's my personal opinion.
No. I have a personal note from GoDaddy
Oh, yeah?
about that.
Yeah, is that in your
that's-
opinion?
Yeah, but in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my
Okay.
opinion, I have that.
All right, check out this Android pic that I've been holding for when you get back. A DOS box.
Okay, now hold on a second. I
Yes,
know
sir.
it's DOSBox running on Android.
Yeah.
I know that and I get that. However, I find it awesome that we've already had DOSBox as a Linux app pick.
Yeah.
And now we're having it as an Android app pick.
Here you go. There it is, running on the tab.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I thought, you want to.
How do I get the keyboard up?
you
There
go.
it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, show the camera there.
D-I-R.
Show the camera.
Hold on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Pretty sweet.
That is
So-
full on. How much memory do I got?
This is you can configure all that stuff. You can go in there and tweak that. So this is obviously the DOSBox emulator. It's called a DOSBox.
Oh,
it's
it's
free
gorgeous.
in the Android marketplace.
Oh, it even reorients.
Yeah.
Oh, it's smart. Oh, it's an intelligent thing.
I seriously have been waiting to show this because I thought you'd love it so much. But
How
it's-
messed up adorable is it that you can run DOSBox? I don't know if you guys can see this, but it takes up like a quarter of the screen at the top, and it's totally legible. That is messed up. Oh, that's rad.
So of course you don't have to have it on the Galaxy Tab. You can have it on. In fact, here's even I'm showing a video if you're watching the stream. It's a G1. So it'll even, of course, it's DOS, right? So it just doesn't need a whole lot of horsepower.
So great.
So a DOSBox is fun to play with because you can throw the old games on there that you used to love, and then of course it's free. So boom, why not?
Here's the crazy messed up stuff. There are places in this world that you can go and buy games that are basically meant for DOSBox that come with DOSBox configuration files like GOG.com, and then you get them, you install them, and then you can copy over your DOSBox image files. Boom, bring them right over to your Android phone and literally play some of the most awesome games on it.
That is what I was thinking.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was exactly
Now,
what I was thinking.
I've got DOSBox on my N900 too. Love that thing. Love that
bet that
thing.
works good on there.
DOSBox should be everywhere. Here's what I was thinking would be cool.
Okay.
Here's what I think just would be rad. And now it's a stupid idea, but I think someone should take DOSBox, because DOSBox you can share like mount points. Like you can mount shares to your local file system. So what someone needs to do is make like for the N900 or for Android, a little file or a little app that monitors that share, and whenever files are updated, run a corresponding action. Therefore, you could literally use DOSBox
On
to
any
control
machine.
your phone.
What if you had
so
a-
you could be like call and then type a number and then run like a batch file and then boom, have the batch file call people and actually have it call people on your phone. It would be the stupidest thing in the world to be running a phone that was essentially running DOS, but it's so necessary.
If you ever have like a weekend where you're in the cabin with no connectivity, you could just kind of poke away at a project like that. You know what I mean?
Really? Yeah, I mean,
why
that
not?
would be awesome.
That'd be okay. Should we talk about your Linux pick?
Yeah, let's talk about the Linux pick real quick.
This looks pretty cool.
It's probably one of the nerdiest Linux picks we've done. This is Rabbit VCS, Rabbit Version Control System, or software. It is an SVN client. That's all it is. But here's why it's cool. If you're a software developer, you probably are using Subversion or something like it. The goal of Rabbit VCS is to have a lot of different support for different version control systems. Right now, it's just SVN, but it has really great integration with Nautilus.
That's nice.
A lot of the cool version control systems that are out there for Linux are really standalone packages where you kind of have its own little built-in file browsers and everything like that. And a lot of them work really good. There's some really good ones, but this one is super easy to use. You just right-click on a folder inside your Nautilus file browser. Boom, update. You're done.
Nice.
It's really slick. They did a really nice job
You know what's
for it.
perfect about this is I'll save it for the news segment. but one of the second or third story or so into the news segment, once we're going to talk about some KDE stuff. It ties in perfectly with this for one of the news items. So this is the
choice.
When we get to that
is choice
this
excellent.
will be the normal alternative of what we talk about. That's a little tease for the future.
Groovy.
Hey, should we do that?
Yes, let's do some
All right.
news.
All right, B-Man.
Hey, Chris, let's do the news.
Let's.
Chris.
Brian.
Yeah.
Brian. Let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, Brian. The top story on... Wait, what? Say what, Brian?
This is so great.
Emacs violates the GPL.
Uh-huh.
Now, this, of course, is the big story coming off this weekend, and this is really not a big deal overall.
All right.
In the grand scheme of things, it was just a mistake. For,
sure.
For like not even all of the Emacs source code wasn't properly distributed. It was like some part of the Emacs source code. I think something to do with thesaurus or something like that. But everyone's having fun because there was a long period of time where Emacs had been shipping without its full source.
For the last 2 years.
Emacs being the baby child of RMS, who of course is probably the biggest proponent of the GPL and free software.
Richard Stallman's baby project was shipping part of the source code as a binary blob without the source code. It did not actually ship the source code as the license required.
Definitely an oversight. Now they're taking, they're trying to take drastic action to fix it, either going back and removing the old archives or going back and adding the source code.
Chris, none of that is important now. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
I'm a huge follower of Richard Stallman.
Yeah, I know.
listen
Big
to what
fan.
the man says, and I take his ideas to heart. Here's what we need to do.
All right.
I need everyone to go out into their garage, maybe their child's bedroom, find some construction paper, some big things of plyboard.
I got paper towel. Oh.
Paper towels might not be quite adequate, but it'll do in a pinch.
Okay.
Get some crayons, some felt markers. What we're doing here is we're going to make signs.
I got a phaser.
Because we need to... That might work.
Okay.
We need to protest.
Oh.
What I need everyone to do...
Uh-oh.
is I need you to write up signs with randomly derogatory saying, such as stop the, let's see, what could FSF, the Free Software Foundation, what could we change it to? Where
are you going with this?
Freedomless Software Foundation.
Oh, wow.
Write it on a sign and go picket their offices.
It was just an accident.
Here's the thing,
Just
though.
a little boo-boo.
These sort of things have happened in the past to other companies. And Richard Stallman has freaked the hell out.
Well,
He's like, these companies will never release their source code. He said this stuff has happened before. So I think.
Oh, okay, Brian.
I think we should apply the same standards to Richard Stallman as Richard Stallman applies to everyone else in the universe. So I believe that we should picket him.
Well, so here's the difference.
And boycott his organization.
And
I don't want to. I love the Free Software Foundation. I don't want to do that.
I'm going to school.
I don't want to do that.
I'm going to school you. Are you ready for this?
Oh, man, am I ready.
The Free Software Foundation, Brian, considers GPL violations. There's a couple different ways they look at them. If you're a commercial entity, there's a commercial violation, and if you're a free software only entity, there is a community violation.
Right.
And the community violations are not considered as grave.
So
as
what
the commercial
you're
violation.
saying is that the Free Software Foundation, Richard Stallman, have violated the community.
Well,
Is that what you're trying to tell me here?
what I'm saying is they violated the community rules. I got all up in there, and they violated the community.
They violated them?
The community rules, Brian.
On a far more important note, we need to go back to the screenshot.
All right, okay.
I need the internet to tell me what the hell that picture is. I know it's a 3D rendering of
a moose.
Now, I know it's their mascot.
Yeah.
It's a GNU. But what in the hell? What the hell is that?
Well, what? Well, that's
what the hell is that?
Are you saying this in particular version of it?
Yeah, this particular version of it. What is that?
It was just a nice high-resolution image to go with the article.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
that is ridiculous.
It's kind of a silly... do you think it was done in order to kind of make the GNU project look a little silly?
That's what I think it was done. Yeah. Who did this article?
This is Computer World.
This is Network World. I think
yeah.
they did to make it look a little silly. Because come on, that just makes the Free Software Foundation look silly.
I don't know. It's done by. This was written up by Joe.
He usually does pretty pro Linuxy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude actually.
I don't know.
Joe Brockmeyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he writes some good stuff.
But you're right. He didn't.
So goofy,
he didn't necessarily select the image though.
No,
it could have been the copyright.
The image looks super
because
goofy.
it does look kind of goofy.
It looks so goofy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
if you want
and
to,
no chat room. My goat does not look. None of my goats look quite like that. No,
that from a goat owner.
Yeah, from a goat owner. No, and I've never met a goat that looks like that. I've never seen an animal in real life that looks anything remotely like that.
I've got a link in the show notes to the entire thread in the GNU.org mailing list, which
the chat room nailed it. What it looks like. Go back to that picture. Do you have it? No, you don't have it. You guys know what it looks like. You can look at it later. It looks like, you remember when the 3D Garfield movie came out?
Yeah.
It looks like someone took the GNU from the FSF's website and made a 3D Garfield-like version of it.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's what it is that's getting me.
This is a great read. I've got a link to the thread in the show notes if you want to. If there's it comes up in a conversation, like as a part of somebody's point, they mention, how can this not be, how can you not be distributing the source code? This is Emacs. And then it comes to Richard Stallman's attention and you can see the realizations throughout the thread. Fun thread to read. Good to see how the whole thing happens. And I got a link to it in the show notes if you want to check that out.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. It's actually not that big of a deal. We don't really have to go prick at the Free Software Foundation. But if you want to, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but you didn't sincerely want people to do that, Brian?
No. I think the point is made, though, however. Hopefully this makes Richard Stallman lighten up a little bit sometimes.
Brian?
Continue on. There's more good news.
Shields up, Brian. Shields up. Get ready for battle. Go to battle stations. I got a little bad news for you.
You mean drink a Pepsi? Go ahead and talk about this.
The news is not looking so good for the old WebM folks. The MPEG LAA.
Okay, I got to go back to this other story. The chat room is on fire here.
What?
This is why I love having a chat room. Someone made the comment, maybe RMS will try VI now.
Yeah,
because RMS is really hardcore about not using any software that doesn't 100% collide with GPL. In fact, he got one of those Exo laptops.
Yeah.
And the one laptop or child laptops refused to use the wireless in it because it used a binary blob.
Yeah.
So now I think he has to stop using Emacs because it used a binary blob, and he has to go over to VI.
Boom. Right. Let's talk about WebM.
Thank you, chat room. You made my week.
This one, Brian, cuts deep to the Jupiter Broadcasting. Cuts real deep into us. Deep down.
Lay it on me.
So the MPEG LA has gotten together 12 parties and stepped forward with patents they believe are essential to the VP8 standard, which WebM is based on, and that it violates.
Yep.
So they're, of course, taking the approach first, it sounds like, if they're going to come together, get the real, here is the silver bullet of, if we shoot you with this, you're dead, but you can license. And they're going to go to Google, and they're going to offer the option to license. Now, here's why, B-Man, here's why it cuts so effing deep to the Jupiter Broadcasting crew, is because if you go over to that fine website, jupiterbroadcasting.com, oh, look what I just did. I Googled it for some reason. I don't know why. Anyways, if you go over to our website right now, I've got an HTML5 player up. And if you're in Chrome, like I'm in right here, it's using WebM. I just started,
which is pretty cool.
The latest. I know, dude, watch this. If you watch, I will click play. Watch how fast this effing video starts. Ready? I'm going to hit play. Boom. It just starts. It just starts instantly. Isn't that nuts?
That's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah. WebM definitely has its issues. It takes probably 2.5 times longer than any other format we produce to encode.
It takes forever to encode.
And its file size is still larger than the other stuff.
But the convenience of being able to play it back pretty much anywhere is pretty rad.
You hit that and it starts instantly. So, of course, the week we switch to WebM, that stuff comes out.
Yeah. It's crazy, though, how much Google keeps getting hit and Google-related products with patent issues. I mean, so many companies are already paying Microsoft a bunch of money for every Android handset held. Now Google's big, savior of the web video format has 12. How many different patent violations? 12 parties. Is it 15?
It says they have 12 parties. They're going to step forward that say they have patents.
Oh, they have patents.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I know. Well, and people often refer to Google as patent poor because they just haven't been around as long as some of these.
So they don't
companies.
have the patent portfolio.
And they recently lost out in that Nortel patent anymore. And although they just bought 1,000 patents from IBM.
What they should do is they should just start buying random patents and hope to God some of them just are covering them.
That's what they just did. They just bought 1,000 of them from IBM. But the other thing they're doing, that Google's doing now to address this, is they've assembled the WebM Council. And this is essentially, it sounds a little more, okay, this is where Google kind of bugs me. It sounds more open sourcey, community focused than it is, probably because it's called the Community Cross License Administration. But what it really is I think Google's hoping that some bigger corporations and some big names are stepping in, will bring their patents that they have.
Oh, so they can pull them all together and hopefully they can be covered.
For people that are interested in having a industry standard open web video format.
That's good.
So they've got some good allies there for sure, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I gotta say, I would actually really like to hear people's feedback. If you normally don't watch us over on our website, go over to the Jupiter Broadcasting page and find season 17, episode 10, and try out the HTML5 video player.
Now, what I'd really like to see is I'd like to see a lot of these organizations donating their patents to the EFF, or at least putting them under that patent kind of portfolio that the EFF has going on to kind of protect a lot of these projects.
And not under the care of Google?
And not under the care of Google. I mean,
if you really want it for the entire web,
Google here, but if you want it, if you want it for the entire web, if you want it for all the platforms out there, really the EFF, they're the people to go see because they're all about that stuff. I would love to see that.
I wonder if something like that could work because that seems like that would make sense.
Or if Google just joined up with the EFF to bring all these in, that would be awesome. I think that'd be great. I
agree, sir. All right, B-Man. Man, we got a great news docket this week.
We sure do. There's all sorts of good stuff.
This is a really cool story, and what's neat about it is it came in, I'm thinking about, I'd like to hear people's feedback on this because I'm thinking about setting up a Linux Action Show subreddit because we did it for TechSnap and it's been working great. And this story actually came in via the TechSnap subreddit, and it is a tablet that is an open platform. It's kind of like what we talked about last season where we said we need to see hardware that's like these that you can just load any OS you want on.
Yeah.
So this is it. It specifically has been designed to be able to run Memo or MeGo.
Yep. And
it's called the Cordia Open Tablet. And it's, I don't know much on the, let's see, maybe the specs page is up now. Cool. It's got what looks like to be a pretty decent sized, thickness. Not like it's going to be, it's not like...
It's an 800 megahertz A8 Freescale.
It's 14.5 millimeters thick is what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah, 800 megahertz Freescale processor. It's got a 7-inch screen, Wi-Fi.
Multi-touch capacitive.
It's gonna
nice.
You're gonna be able to put a PCIe Mini 3G module in it, so any type of 3G you want. It's gonna do HDMI 720p out. 3,300 milliamp battery is not bad. So it looks pretty nice. It's got an ambient light sensor. It's got the 3-axis controller and a accelerometer in it.
Honestly, this is actually pretty exciting for me because, if they're making it so you can run Memo on this thing. I love Memo. It's still my favorite portable distribution. And I've got my N810 and my N900, which I mostly just use as little mini tablets nowadays. And I would love a larger form factor version of those.
Well, it would essentially be this form factor.
Let me hold that. Now, if I could have this form factor running Memo,
I know, right?
Running a full Debian-based handheld
He's holding
distribution.
the Galaxy Tab.
God, that'd be phenomenal. Yeah. That would be exactly what Brian wants.
This is one of those things where we don't know exactly all the details yet. They're shooting for an estimated $300 price. I got to be honest, though. Usually at this phase, I think those prices tend to slip up.
It'll go up to $350, $400.
They're looking for about 250 people to sign up for pre-orders, and then they're going to pull the trigger on assembly. I believe that's the situation. I got a link in the show notes if you want to find out more.
We should talk to them and see if we can get this figured out.
That would be great. I would like to talk to those guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little KDE, Brian.
Yes, please.
First up, before we get into the KDE meet itself, just a quick shout out to Digicam. They just hit 2.0.
About time. Digicam has been rocking for a long time now, and they've been hovering, waiting to go to 2.0, and they finally hit it.
So it hit today, Sunday, July 31st that we were recording this, 2011. 2.0 ships after a year of heavy development, more than a year. But check out some of the really cool features that I love. It's got, I don't know, how do you feel about this? Face tagging, face detection.
That's fine.
You got.
I'm not going to use it much.
Image revision support, so you can do your different.
I love the image revision stuff. That's cool.
Good camera metadata improvements and way improved tagging. Geo-tagging is now supported, especially if you're with their improved metadata reading. And of course, 236 bugs were fixed. Awesome.
Yeah, so I've got
Linux.
Digicam running on one of my machines at home, and it's gotten so much better. In the last 6 months alone, huge improvements.
So Digicam has got to be I mean, gotta be. I gotta say, it's gotta be at least getting close to replacing F-Spot.
For me?
Yeah.
It's close. Like, it's difficult. I have a soft spot in my heart for F-Spot. I love the F-Spot.
I like to look at GTK apps too.
I like to look at GTK apps. Honestly, though, whenever I'm running at this point, KDE desktop, I'm using Digicam because Digicam's gotten really good. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I wasn't that into Digicam. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Now, they've done so much good work. Team should be proud. They've done some nice stuff.
So link in the show notes, check it out. But while we're talking about the KDE stuff, KDE 4.7 shipped this week. You know, obviously, to go over all the cool stuff in KDE 4.7 would be insane, but I do have the links if you want to check them out. But I thought we could focus on the application world, because, you know, they do like the different platforms of KDE.
Yeah.
And so some of the applications have gotten updated. Now, I haven't gotten my hands on any of this stuff, actually, but one of the things that I've always been interested in following is the developments with the Dolphin file manager.
I love Dolphin.
Because, you know, they're always working on Dolphin, right?
Yeah.
And here's where I was saying this kind of ties in with your app pick a little bit. They took away the menu bar. You can take it back, of course. But here's what's interesting. Dolphin now has much deeper integration with source code management systems, including the ability to create and clone repositories, push and pull changes, view diffs, and much more from within the file manager.
Right in Dolphin.
Yeah.
I mean, just out of the gate.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, man, KDE is rad.
Yeah.
I mean, in so many ways, KDE is rad. And 4.6 was a great release.
Yeah.
And what I love about 4.7 is it doesn't change everything. Like, it basically just improves everything and adds more features. It's like it's it's polishing a product and making it nicer and nicer and nicer. It's what we loved about the KDE experience pre 4.0. You know what I mean? Like the 3.x branch was just they spent so long adding like every
it was like when 4.0 came along.
Do.
When 4.0 came along, we were like, but no, KDE 3 is really getting dialed in now.
It was dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
and like the contextual menus in KDE like 3 were huge. I mean, like they were so big because there were so many options and it was so powerful. And when KDE 4 hit, it looked cool and it had great ideas, but we missed out on so much of that functionality. And what I love now is we're not only adding that back in, but we're far surpassing what was there in KDE 3. And that's pretty cool.
The Digicam 2.0 is making it in as part of KDE 4.7. And what's neat about their approach here is, like, you don't just get a desktop upgrade, but all of the associated applications, well, not all of them, but as many as they can meet their deadlines of the associated applications get updated as well. So it's like you get a nice complete environment refresh. I love that. I think that's such a neat approach.
So rad.
All right, B-Man, let's talk about this one.
Okay.
What do you think of this? Microsoft extends their SUSE deal and agrees to buy another 100 million in Linux support vouchers.
How can this be bad?
Well, I've thought about it.
We're putting money in Linux's pocket.
So far, 725 customers worldwide, according to Microsoft, they've done on this deal.
And some of those are really big customers.
Yeah, like Walmart.
Yep.
Here's what it is.
You dislike this.
Brian, is this first of all, $100 million is a drop in the bucket to Microsoft. So keep that in perspective.
It's nothing.
It is, I believe, strictly because the Microsoft sales approach is you go into this. Hi there, so you're looking to migrate your primary business application to a new infrastructure. Well, we'd like to introduce you to Microsoft Server 2008 platform. We have the Enterprise Edition. It can handle these kinds of SCSI, iSCSI storage volumes, all this kind of stuff. And if you buy it from us, we'll also include vouchers to run the Linux systems that you need to migrate into virtualization, and you're indemnified from any patent violations.
Right.
So you look at that package from Microsoft, and we'll offer you implementation support.
Okay.
Versus when Red Hat comes in and says, "Hi, here's Red Hat. You could buy an enterprise license, and you can migrate all your systems over to Red Hat. If you'd like assistance with that migration, here's a great third-party consulting firm that we recommend at $895 an hour. You can contact them, and they'll help you do the migration."
Yeah.
And then when they say, "Well, what about patent indemnification?"
Well, we have a few patents. Those will be fine.
It really is the
it's the patent things that bothers you.
Here is the solution. If you don't use it, there is the stick. If you're not our customer, we might hit you with our patent.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And the fact that they are suing people doesn't even make it a barkless threat. It is a bark that they have bite with. So what it is I think it's designed to try to trivialize the deployment of Linux to being in the domain of virtualized under Windows. I really believe that's what it's got to be.
You think so?
Well, because you see, the whole thing that they've worked with, they've set up the virtualization team center with Novell, right? So that way they could work on making a superb integration with Hyper-V and SUSE Enterprise Linux.
Yeah, they did a great job there. Yeah.
And so it's a first-class virtualized product under Microsoft. It takes advantage of Hyper-V, so it's aware that it's virtualized, so it's able to perform a lot better because it doesn't have to completely emulate all of the hardware.
Which is super good.
So
that's a plus, though.
But it's an entire package. What happens is they complete this entire package of here's this whole thing. You get patent identification. You get amazing runs under virtualization. We've worked with Novell to customize this version of Linux to work amazing under Hyper-V. You just go this route, everything's taken care of. And I think that's what it is. I don't like it. But I do like that the Novell guys get more money, so, there is at least an upside to it.
See, I kind of dig it because it puts Linux out there more. I mean, the more thousands and millions of installations of Linux we can have across a wide variety of companies, it makes it so that, let's say Microsoft or whoever does decide to go after a company for running Linux and being in violation, theoretically, of those patents. Those people can then point around and go, well, all of your customers are running it, and all of Red Hat's customers are running it, and all of Canonical's customers are running it, and they can point and say, not only am I running it and do I believe these patents are not being violated, but it's ubiquitous. It's at the point where
I think the problem is
patents cannot be easily applied. If you let's say you, Chris, hold the patent on tennis shoes.
I love tennis shoes.
Everyone has a pair of tennis shoes. If you come out and say I own the patent on tennis shoes, and I've owned it for 100 years, so now everyone has to pay me back stuff for 100 years
for every step.
It's simply not going to fly.
10 cents.
You're going to be able to go to court. You're going to be able to make a huge stink, but it's not going to fly.
What if
these patents? Most of them are like 20 years old.
What if people had been paying me? What if I had negotiated with a lot of people to start licensing me for every step they take?
Well, that does make it a little bit murkier.
And then it's like, but these people have already signed over. And what if you say, and these people, you point to this group, but we sold them identification. That's why they're okay. I don't know. Plus, Microsoft, it's not outside of the realm of possibility for a extremely deep-pocketed corporation to be able to have influence over legal proceedings.
No, that's true. That's very true.
It is a mixed bag. I think it's good that it puts cash money in the pockets of Linux developers.
It could be better,
but it could be going to better use. Yeah.
It could be going to better use.
But maybe
I'm with you on that.
My problem is, I guess I kind of take the supposition. I guess I'm making the supposition that IT admins will never spring Linux from the virtual environment. Maybe they start there and are become so happy with
it's a gateway drug.
They deploy it on Metal, and it ends up backfiring on Microsoft.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, right? So you never know. Could work out good.
It could.
All right, B-Man, I want to talk about something fun.
Okay.
All right, it's the Humble Indie Bundle number 3.
It sure is.
We love the Humble Indie Bundle.
Now, the Humble Indie Bundle number 3 looks pretty good. There's actually a couple of games on here that I think are pretty rad. Such as
the jam that was played on the post show.
It's a fun little game.
Yeah.
Now, most importantly, though, as always with the Humble Indie Bundle, what I'm curious about is how have the different platforms been broken down. Check this out. Average sale price for Windows users, $3.75. Average for Mac users, $6.49. Average for Linux, $11.36. We are once again completely
third time in a row
trouncing the Mac platform in terms of game sales. At this point, if game publishers do not realize that Linux is an incredibly viable platform for developing and releasing and selling games, they are crazy, because here's hard numbers 3 times in a row.
That's pretty awesome. Now, of course, because of so even though the Windows users paid the least out of everybody,
they're still most of the world. They're 90+% of the world. So what are you going to do?
Look at this, though. How cool is this? Look how much money came from Notch, the developer of Minecraft.
Nuts.
That's $4,000 from the developer of Minecraft. That's awesome.
Yeah, way to go, that guy.
Yeah, so that's really cool to see him.
That's way
keeping
cool.
It real.
That's totally keeping it real.
Yeah, B-Man.
But so that's way cool. And plus, of course, scrolling up, you can donate some of what you are donating to the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
You can set it right here as you're making your purchase. You can go in here and just say, "I'll give $3 to the EFF." Make sure 13 of it goes to the developers. But you know what? These humble guys, they've really put on a good show 3 times in a row. I'm going to give
them a little bit of a tip to run the whole thing.
And then you can check out with pretty much any payment system that you're comfortable with. Google Checkout, PayPal, Amazon.
Just make sure at the end you say, "Hey, run Linux."
Yeah.
Unless you're being cheap, then say, hey, I'm running Mac or Windows or something.
Yeah.
If you're being cheap.
All right, B-Man.
Don't be cheap.
That's all the news.
That's what I'm saying.
For this week. B-Man, last week we covered some media centers. I covered the big dog, XBMC.
I don't remember that.
All right, well, good, because you don't need to, because it doesn't really relate to this one at all, because we're talking about all new stuff this week.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so if you want to check out part 1, go watch Season 17, Episode 9 of the Linux Action Show, where we talked about XBMC. That's the big dog, right?
That's the big dog.
Other than Myth TV. We're gonna
and all the Xbox Media Center XBMC derivatives that are out there, they all kind of make up the XBMC ecosystem of power.
Of course, everyone knows that I love the Boxy software. I think before we go any further for
Boxy
this
is great.
week, I'm just gonna make that disclaimer right here. I own 2 of these Boxy boxes. You can see right there. I first purchased this on December 11th, 2010, and I've owned 2 of them since then. And it does have some issues. There are problems from time to time, but as far as being able to play every effing format I could ever want, and Netflix is really important to me on the device hooked up to my TV.
Rad, right?
And you know that has a great Netflix app, and it does some. I've never found an MKV file I couldn't throw at it.
That's so rad.
And it's
a
runs
great
silent,
box.
Runs quiet.
Less than $200.
Got a great little keyboard on it, a remote.
Less than $200. It's a great way to go.
And it runs Linux. So seriously consider the Boxy box before we go down the rest of this route. This thing is so easy to use that basically my 2.5-year-old can figure out the principles of how to operate this thing.
Preposterous.
Without any challenge. But if you've got a Linux desktop and you want to convert that into a media center, let's cover some more of your options.
Ready.
I asked for people to leave comments, and man, did we deliver. So go check out the comments from the last episode, but I'll give you a couple of my favorite. The first one is if you are in love with XBMC, but you don't yet have live TV, and I said I didn't know of a way to get live TV in XBMC. Well, Jonathan Archer from the future stopped by and let us know that there is an active PVR plugin and a fork for XBMC that you can go read about to get live TV support inside XBMC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few people that left that comment, so I wanted to feature that. But the other thing I think we probably heard of the most from everyone was Linux MCE.
Yes.
And Linux MCE here is probably pretty well known. It's almost like a complete media center solution with a lot of home automation options. If you have like those
X10 boxes and whatnot,
you can turn your lights off. Like when you hit play, it'll automatically dim your lights and stuff like that. And of course, you got to like this. They got a shot of it here with the
Nokia N810 tablet right there.
N810 tablet. So that's pretty nice, little remote control. So those were some of the suggestions that were sent in. So definitely, you guys, you want to check those out. I wanted to throw a couple of more simpler, off-the-wall ones.
Okay.
This one's called Ena?
Anna?
Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I was checking this out actually a couple of weeks back.
This is in like pretty much any distro's package manager repo. So that's why I like
it's
this
easy
one.
to toss in.
Real easy to toss in. Pretty simple. I find it works better for local media. If you have a network stuff, it doesn't have built-in SMB like mounting or NFS mounting.
No, but it does the DLNA stuff.
It does if you have that.
Yeah.
But you could also probably just do a file system mount and then just browse that like you would browse, anything that's on your file system. So that would be an option. But
that'd be a way to go. But it would be nice if it had built-in like SMB and everything else.
This is a little simpler too. It reminds me a little more of Apple's Front Row, only a little simpler UI where it's just you got a panel here on the side instead of having to go around in circles.
Yeah.
And it's got like your basic functionality. You can get the weather and all that kind of stuff. You can play music. It does have playlist support, which not all of them have, and that's nice.
Oh, that's nice.
And it does have Shoutcast streaming support.
Also nice.
And podcast RSS support.
I do like RSSs.
I know, and I got a lot of people that said that that's how they've been getting our show now. I was surprised how many people wrote and said, I download Linux Action Show now to my XBMC machine, and then I watch it on my TV.
Why not?
That's awesome, right?
Well, if you got like a huge TV, my head is gigantic, and that's something you want in your house.
Best experienced in 1080p right here.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, I think the one that probably everyone, I would think, is on the front of everyone's, so that was ENNA. Yeah. I think the one that probably comes to everyone's mind, though, when you think of media centers is it's got to be Myth TV, right? But
yeah, that's the granddaddy.
Wow, is this looking old?
It is old.
Myth TV.
I mean, we did our first review of Myth TV on like episode 8 of the Linux Action Show. We're on like episode 1 billion something now.
170, yeah.
I mean, this was what, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That we did a review of this sucker.
And it feels really old
clunky.
now. It feels clunky.
It freezes all the time.
So I'm already having issues here. So this is really too bad. I gotta tell you, this is probably one of still the best options if you want to get live TV and PVR and a TV guide. But wow, is this feeling old? And this is just a stock implementation. So I got a few links from people out there to like a few live distros.
You can pretty it up. You really can.
There's Mythbuntu and there's a Fedora Spin.
Yep.
Links in the show notes for those, where you basically it's a pre-installed one and you just deploy an image to a hard drive and
that's really the way to go. I recommend going the Mythbuntu or something route, because it will be set up a little nicer. There's a couple of the more critical plugins already installed. It's still, for me, is not what I want, because I don't do the live TV thing all that much. I do the online streaming and everything else.
Yeah.
But
so what's your solution? What's best for you?
So here's the way I've gone. I love the XBMC and I love the Boxy. Those are two I just absolutely love. However, I mostly don't even use Linux for my video playback, because I end up using whatever random home console I have.
Yeah,
so we got an Xbox, we got a PS3. Are they great? No. But they're there. They're already plugged into the TV, and I connect them up to my Linux-powered servers, and I stream all my video off of that.
And we've got to give maybe just another quick mention.
That's just kind of the way I go.
It's been a little while since we gave it a plug, but MediaToom is a great way to take files that are maybe not even in the right format and stream them from a Linux box to your console.
And the chat room mentioned Movida. I want to give a shout out to Movida, because locally,
that's on my list there.
I tend to use Movida more. I like Movida. It's one of my favorite of the lightweight, just browse some files and play them back players. It does some other stuff too, but that's what I use it for. It's fast and it looks pretty.
Movida is the media center from the Fluendo guys.
Yep.
And they have a commercial version available for like $35 if you want to go that route, and that in there includes legal codecs for DVD decryption and audio, but also Dolby Digital surround sound support.
But I already, of course, purchased their codec packs a long time ago, so I don't need the fancy version, but it's very nice. It looks great, and I recommend it.
So I put on the bottom of our Media Center Roundup stuff here, I put a link to Movida, and it is a great little looking UI. I think it kind of is more of a, this is my desktop media center and I can hook it up to a TV.
It's become that way. It still has a really good 10-foot experience for hanging out just on your TV.
Yeah.
But it's become more full-featured as a whole, like, I don't want to say iTunesy app, but much more Banshee and everything else, to where it has a lot more power than it used to have.
And they're integrating in, they have like a Movida movie database where it does essentially metadata lookups and goes and retrieves the information about it.
It does a surprisingly good job.
Yeah, of course it supports pretty much every format under the sun too, which is really nice. So
you bet your bottom. Well, it's all GStreamer based. So if you got a GStreamer plugin for it, you can play this sucker back.
So MediaToom, if you have just a general Linux box and want to stream to a console, which honestly
is great.
I have a big consideration, you probably do too, is the whole, you need to make something that the spouse can just sit down and use, or even like a visiting family member can sit down and use. Yeah. And the consoles, the nice thing about that is a lot of people just already know how to operate them.
Yeah, they already got it figured out.
Yeah, so
they can browse around an Xbox UI just fine, or a Wii or whatever.
I gotta say though, I just cannot. If you can afford the $189 for it, I just can't think of a reason not to go Boxy.
Yeah, the Boxy box.
Quiet. It pulls like when it's idle, it pulls like 4 watts of power.
I feel like the Boxy box is what we hoped the popcorn hour was going to be.
Yeah.
You remember? I mean, the popcorn hour is kind of fizzled out.
I got my popcorn hour right over there.
And it's still a good box, but it just doesn't have the juice to really play a lot of file formats. It gets a little stuttery sometimes. Some of the codecs aren't totally all there. But the Boxy box, man, that thing rocks.
I gotta also say thanks to Acid Punk in the chat room who reminded me about PS3 Media Server, which has actually been my long time. I pretty much switched away from using anything but the PS3 for my media playback.
Yeah.
And PS3 Media Server is awesome. It requires Java, but it runs great. It does a fantastic job.
It does not take up all that much processing time, so it runs pretty well.
And the cool thing about PS3 Media Server is on the PlayStation 3, when you're browsing through it'll just show up to the PlayStation. It's just like it'll just show up on the network to the PlayStation, and then you connect to it. And when you browse through the videos, it'll generate little video thumbnails. So as you browse through the list, it kind of magnifies them, and you get like little stills as you fly down the list of videos. Awesome. So that's PS3
It actually
Media
works
Server.
well.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. So that's kind of some options. I also have another link in there for like a roundup of 5 great media centered distros, just like a whole distro on a disk.
Nice.
I tried loading Boxy on Ubuntu 11.04, and there is some packaging issues that you have to go fix. So just a heads up on that.
Yeah, so be aware.
And we also heard back Ron, who does the XBMC app for Jupiter Broadcasting's app, he's going to update it to get the new shows listed in there too. So that's cool.
Choice.
Right? So yeah, there it is. So this one's kind of a go refer to the show notes episode because we got a lot of links in there for those of you who are out there. Oh, look, Google Docs is frozen on me. I can't.
Oh, look at that.
We gotta
Fantastic.
get that replaced there, B-Man.
We got to toss that off.
Well, so, wait, is it back for you? No? See, it was gone for you, but just me. Just me.
Just
No,
you.
There you go. Hopefully I'll be able to get that added to the show notes if that ever comes back.
If not, blame Google.
So I guess my closing bit of advice would be go check the show notes from the last episode. There's just comment after comment of awesomeness of people's different solutions.
There's a lot of options out there.
Some hardware links in there too for like some slim little low-powered little Linux machines you could load XBMC on.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I'm a really big fan of all those little atom-powered little slim desktop ones because you can get those for like $100 to $200, even from some of the big box stores.
Yeah.
Throw Linux on there, throw Boxy on there, throw Movida on there, throw something like that, and you've got, and a lot of them have HDMI out built in. So you just plug that, boom, right into your TV, get some sort of a nice remote for it. Honestly, there's a couple of really great, very fancy remotes, or just like we showed you earlier on, that you can use like an N800 or an N810 tablet, load up Linux
device.
MCE, and have a great remote experience.
Dude, there are some wicked XBMC remotes for Android. You get the whole thing on here, and the great thing about it is it does it over Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth. So you just both things have to be on the same IP subnet.
So here's what Daddy does.
And you get a keyboard too, so you can from the tab I can keyboard on XBMC.
Now, I don't do this all the time because, well, a lot of the time I just run the consoles. But when I am running something
I don't always run a media center system, but when I do.
There's a number of great remotes available for Migo.
Oh, yeah.
I throw on a Star Trek LCARS theme on my N800 tablets, which, by the way, you can get for about $40 or $50 off of eBay if you're willing to look around. So you can get an LCARS themed tablet that really for $40-50 it's just a fancy remote. You don't even need it to do anything else. The fact that it does is just gravy.
Actually,
that you can control all your media center from that. Boom! It's fancy. It's ridiculously nerdy, and it will always turn heads.
Because for those of you who might be thinking, why the F would I waste the battery power on my portable device to act as a remote? It is the future when you sit down with one device and
do whatever you want.
You control your TV system, and then you
hit a button and flush your toilet.
And you hit a button, and now you're back in you're in an IM conversation. And then you hit a button, and you're browsing the web while you're waiting for like something. And then you hit a button, and you're back in your remote control.
It totally is.
It is the
as long as it can have a Star Trek theme on it. I agree with you.
Yeah, and of course make the little beeps when you click the buttons.
Of course, and absolutely. All right, it's kind of a given.
B-man,
the sound theme's included.
That's our look at media centers. Hey, you know what? Yeah. I got an idea for. I got an idea for. I'll save it. I'll save it for the next segment. I got an idea for the next week.
That's this look at media centers. And that brings us to the end of the most amazing show you have ever watched.
You picked a good one to come back to.
I did a second. I want to say again, hey, Alan, thanks for stepping in. You did a good job, man. You got some big shoes to fill, but you did it. Yeah, you did it. You powered through with aplomb.
From Canada.
From Canada?
Can you believe that?
I didn't even know they had internet up there.
Dude,
awesome job.
In order to just have somebody just to even fill in for you, I had to go outside the country.
You had to run a cable from here to there.
It was quite the endeavor.
Customs must have been a nightmare.
I'm an amazing guy.
So anyway, I'm back now. I'm not going anywhere for a while because I'm tired of going on road trips. I don't want to drive anymore. I drove from here to Los Angeles, and here is Seattle, so it's like from here to here, and that's a long way. It's like a million miles, and I drove all the way back. I don't want to drive anymore, so I'm staying right here for a while, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So we got some ideas for next week.
Yeah, so it's the beginning of season 18. And we got to kick it off. I say we kick it off. Let's do a gaming episode.
Hell yeah.
Linux Gaming Roundup. It's been a while. We've got some threads going in the Jupiter Colony if you want to get in on that. You can also leave a comment on this week's episode. I've already got a few lists I'm collecting. Do you want to do some strategy-based ones? Or what
absolutely. I got games.
Okay. I got strategy games. Maybe
I will be laying down for you some of my favorite games. Just some of the best stuff, especially the most exciting stuff going on right now.
I have a lot of strategy games on my list, but we're not going to limit it. It could be
it's going to be all over the map.
And we're not going to do a whole bunch because there's always more, and we're always going to do more gaming episodes.
But if you have any recommendations for the most amazing games that you think maybe we haven't heard of, head on over to the Colony, jupitercolony.com. That's our forum. Write it in there.
Yeah.
Put it in there. There's a Linux Action Show area. Just register an account. typity type and it'll be crazy.
That's
You'll
amazing.
love it. If you want to get a hold of us over at twitter.com, Brian Lunduke and Chris LAS. We're also over on the Google the Plussing. Look us up for our names.
I have links to both our Google Plus profiles in the show notes.
I'm pretty much the only person on the internet with my name, so no worries. Just search for Lunduke.
I am enjoying Google Plus.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I know. It's kind of awful.
I tried it out from peer pressure, and man, did I get made fun of for it. Everyone was like, I bet. Doing a good job of boycotting Google there, Brian. I was like, oh, man. And so I've been hanging out with it for a little bit because, in part, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to make fun of this, if I'm going to dog on Google, I have to know. Yeah. I'm not the kind of guy that's like, it's like Windows. I'm not going to go make fun of Windows 98 without having actually lived in Windows 98 for a few weeks.
You know what is a feature in Google Plus that I found really cool?
I really like Google Plus.
Have you tried the Sparks thing in Google Plus?
Yeah, it's great.
Alan did a Sparks thing for TechSnap and then found out that like some sort of like end of days website was embedding an episode of TechSnap because we covered smart meters. Yeah. And how anyways.
The Sparks thing is great.
It's like you get like little blips on. It's like a radar. And you can find out people are talking about
Sparks set up for Linux and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
So whenever
Android's a good one.
I'm like, man, I just feel like I'm missing something. Boom, I click on that, and I just get it's like a torrent of it's not RSS readers, but it's almost like RSS reading without setting up the links and for social media.
Yeah, like it's like it goes out and finds all the links to topics. It's nice.
Yeah, it's great.
So it Sparks.
It's great.
Cool.
So very, very cool. There's the ways you can find us. We're over on Facebook/Jupiter Broadcasting. Of course, we're here every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch us at jblive.tv. Very, very fancy.
Wow,
so
that's everything.
So I wanted to throw a couple of things out there real fast.
Whoa, okay. Let's do it.
If you've been watching, we got the new version of Illumination Software Creator coming out over the next, I believe it's 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks and like 3 days or something like that. WebOS support and a full HTML5 thing.
Cool.
Lots of support for graphics. We've announced a lot of it.
HTML5 thing.
It's you can make HTML5 apps with it.
Oh, I like that.
And they look like desktop apps. It's so great. So you're like, let's say you're on Linux.
I'm on Linux.
You're making your little app in Illumination, and it's a little Python app with like a whole bunch of windows and stuff.
Like a Jupiter Broadcasting app.
So let's say you've got a little Python app you made on Linux, and you're like, hey, this is really great. As soon as Illumination 4 hits, which is a free upgrade for you if you've already purchased it, you just go ahead and go build as HTML5. Boom, your web browser pops up, runs it. It looks and acts exactly like your desktop app.
That's cool.
Windows moving around, minimizing, maximizing. It's like a whole complete desktop experience. All in HTML5, running on damn near every platform.
I like what Just did it in the chat room. You got it
Rocks.
Nice.
So cool. It's very, very cool. I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm super busy with that. If you guys have been emailing me over the last few weeks, 99% sure I have not responded to you. 99% sure I will not respond to you for a few more weeks because I'm busy. But this is coming together, and it's pretty cool.
There you have it. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Linux Action Show, and we'll see you right back here next Sunday.